Hey, this is Cassie, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout outs to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Hola, habla Cindy, está viendo Deportes TV.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, 27-0. Jaron Boots Ennis, welterweight contender, had a beautiful statement, stoppage victory over Juan Carlos Abreu, a rough, rugged journeyman in the sport of boxing. Jaron Boots Ennis stopped him in the 6th round. With that said, Jaron Boots Ennis has now, at the age of 23 years old, a 5'10" welterweight that has room to grow, is now 26-0, 24 by way of knockout. Like I said, he stopped Juan Carlos Abreu this past Saturday night via 6th round. He dropped him 3 times in the fight. Beautiful uppercut, just counter punches, just put on the show. He put on an absolutely dazzling performance. Now people wonder, what's next? Obviously, in the sport of boxing, it's always what's next? What have you done for me lately? That's how the sport of boxing operates, right? And he gets a lot of comparisons. One comparison being that of former legendary 4-division world champion, iconic superstar boxer, Roy Jones Jr. And he's getting a lot of comparisons to that of current 3-division world champion, undefeated, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, and widely considered the #1 pound-for-pound boxer in the world, Terence "Bud" Crawford. Because of his ability to switch from southpaw to orthodox in the flow of the fight. This is something that Terence Crawford is known for. This is something that people compare Terence Crawford to the legend, the Hall of Famer, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, because he was a boxer that switched from orthodox to southpaw fluidly in a fight, in the flow of the fight. And this is something that Terence Crawford fluidly does in the flow of the fight. And so now you see Jaron Boots Ennis mimicking that, duplicating that, right? Or giving his own version. And a lot of people are interested in seeing Jaron Boots Ennis against undefeated 16-0, 16 by way of knockout, 5'10" orthodox Mexican superstar, rising contender, welterweight contender boxer, Vergil Ortiz Jr. Vergil Ortiz is from Dallas, Texas. Jaron Ennis is from Philadelphia. And because of their age, Vergil Ortiz is 22 years old. Everybody wants to see these two compete against one another. I watched Vergil Ortiz in his last outing against Samuel Vargas. He got the knockout victory, but it took some time. And immediately, what jumps right out at me is the difference in athletic ability. And I love Vergil Ortiz, but when you see the athletic ability, you see the counterpunch ability, you see the hand speed, the foot speed, you see the ring generalship of Jaron Boots Ennis. Vergil Ortiz has a lot of power. Vergil Ortiz has hand speed, but Vergil Ortiz doesn't have the foot speed. Vergil Ortiz breaks you down. Jaron Ennis has one-punch knockout power, but he could break you down as well. So I think Vergil Ortiz versus Jaron Ennis would be a mismatch. I think that Jaron Ennis would showcase his abilities and his advantages on Vergil Ortiz, and it would be a mismatch. So I believe that it would be too early, anytime soon, within the next year or year and a half, even 2 years, for Vergil Ortiz. I think Vergil Ortiz needs to step up in level of competition, Jaron Boots Ennis as well. But if you match them together, the physical advantages that Vergil Ortiz usually has over guys with his height at 5'10" and his power and his youth, he will not have against Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis at 5'10" has the same height. Vergil Ortiz has an arm reach of 70 inches. But see, Jaron Boots Ennis has an arm reach of 74, and he has the hand speed advantage. Why does that play a major part? Because Jaron Boots Ennis has the hand speed advantage. He has power as Vergil Ortiz, but he has hand speed advantage. He has foot speed advantage. So his punches are going to get to the target much quicker than Vergil Ortiz's. Now, some people may say Vergil Ortiz may have an edge in the power category. And hey, I won't argue that point. But speed equals power, and so does timing. Now, Vergil Ortiz has great timing, but Jaron Boots Ennis' timing, along with his athletic ability, along with his ring generalship, along with his foot speed and his defense, I think that would be too much for Vergil Ortiz to overcome. Now, moving on from Vergil Ortiz, we hear a lot of people comparing him to one Terence Crawford, and we know before the fight, he did an interview in which he stated that he would beat the upper echelon in the welterweight division. Mainly, he pointed out and highlighted one Terence Crawford and Terence Crawford rival, who they've yet to step in the ring against one another, that being undefeated, unified WBC, IBF, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Errol the Truth Spence Jr., who's a southpaw, who's very skilled, who's very disciplined, and has a lot of power and just breaks you down. He has a strong will, that being Errol Spence Jr. And that's the mega fight in the welterweight division, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. But move over, because Jaron Boots Ennis is coming. And Jaron Boots Ennis is compared to Terence Crawford, but he's a bigger, stronger version of Terence Crawford, in my opinion. Right? And he has youth on his side. Terence Crawford is 33 years of age. Jaron Boots Ennis is 23 years of age. So you see, Ennis has the advantage in youth, right? He is 5'10". Terence Crawford is 5'8". Now, Terence Crawford has the experience he has the advantage in experience. He's 36-0, 27 by way of knockout. So he has more knockouts than Jaron Ennis has fights. Terence Crawford does. He's 5'8", and oddly enough, he has an arm reach of a 74. So they have the same arm reach. But like I said, Terence Crawford will be 33 years of age. Jaron Ennis is 23 years of age. But Terence Crawford started in a smaller division. So Terence Crawford is the naturally smaller guy than Jaron Boots Ennis. But they bring the same tangibles to the ring, the same skill sets. The difference is, Terence Crawford has experience on his side. But when it comes to accuracy, it's about the same. Hand speed might go in the advantage of Jaron Ennis. Foot speed might go in the advantage of Jaron Ennis. I think Jaron Ennis is slightly more athletic than Terence Crawford. And like I said, he has youth on his side, right? He doesn't have as many fights. Now, like I stated, Terence Crawford has 27 knockouts in 36 fights. That's more knockouts than Jaron Ennis has fights in its totality. But the fact remains, Terence Crawford fought at a lower weight class. And there's nobody on Terence Crawford's resume that I believe that would be able to compete athletically, physically with Jaron Boots Ennis. So Jaron Boots Ennis versus Terence Crawford, I believe this is the best physically gifted guy that Terence Crawford would have ever faced should he step in the ring with Jaron Boots Ennis. Now, like I said, most people will say that it's just too early because Terence Crawford has much more experience than Jaron Boots Ennis. But the physical gifts of Jaron Ennis, the skill set of Jaron Ennis, this will be the greatest challenge in Terence Crawford's career to date. Bar none. Nobody physically had the gifts or the athletic ability or the skill set and the ring generalship on Terence Crawford's resume. In a complete package. You had guys with blazing fast hand speed like Amir Khan. You had guys with power like Igis Kavaluskas, Jeff Horn, Julius Ndongo. Gamboa has a lot of hand speed and a lot of power, but he doesn't have the defense. So the complete package, this would be the toughest challenge in Terence Crawford's career. Complete package. This would be the toughest challenge in Errol Spence's career. But the comparisons always come to Terence Crawford because of the ability to switch from southpaw to orthodox fluidly in the ring. And he said that he would just simply outsmart both guys, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. He says he's just a better, smarter, gifted, more fighter than they are. And physically, it jumps right off at you. But when people compare him to Roy Jones Jr., I don't see that. I think Roy Jones Jr. was an anomaly. I don't think we've ever seen anything like Roy Jones prior to Roy Jones, and I don't think we'll see anything like Roy Jones after Roy Jones. Roy Jones' hand speed was off the Richter chart. Roy Jones' hand speed, his foot speed, his power, his accuracy, it can't be matched. And I don't see that in Jaron Ennis. I've seen similarities, but I don't see that athletic gift that Roy Jones had for Jaron Ennis. I just don't see that. But as far as with Terence Crawford, I think Jaron Ennis clearly beats Vergil Ortiz. I don't think that'll be close. I just don't see it. I don't see Vergil Ortiz having anything to compete with Jaron Boots Ennis. I just can't see it. So I just don't see Vergil Ortiz being able to challenge Jaron Ennis. I think that would be a showcase fight, actually, in my opinion. And this is not to downgrade anything Vergil Ortiz has accomplished or anything he can accomplish in the future. I just think physically, the gifts that Jaron Ennis has matches up great against the gifts that Vergil Ortiz possesses. When it comes to Terence Crawford, I think mentally and experience, it might be slightly too much for Jaron Ennis right now. I think that Terence Crawford's ability to set traps, I think that Terence Crawford, ability to lure Jaron Ennis into things that he believes he sees, and Terence Crawford being able to make adjustments, and physically it'll be a tough out for Terence Crawford because he can match Terence Crawford in athletic ability, speed, power, foot speed, hand speed, and he's a bigger man. I think that would be a mega challenge for Terence Crawford. But just the fact that Terence Crawford has all the experience, and Terence Crawford is a vet, and Terence Crawford knows how to, nullify certain things that guys do well. I think that will play a part in him defeating Jaron Ennis right now. But it definitely would be a very, very close fight. It definitely would be a high-level chess match. And I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I think that physically, the mental pressure that Errol Spence will put on Jaron Ennis, just coming forward, being disciplined with his high guard, and being so strong and mentally strong, I think that would be too much, as well as having experience like he has with a guy with Sean Porter. I believe that actually Errol Spence has more experience than Terence Crawford in high-level fights because he's been in the ring with high-level guys, right? Terence Crawford has been in there with great opposition, but I think that the opposition Errol Spence has been in the ring with is greater than that of Terence Crawford, right? And so I think that Errol Spence has been in a fight with Sean Porter that he had to face issues with Sean Porter, right? He had to deal with Sean Porter foot speed, his pressure, his mental pressure, his physical pressure, right? He had to face adversity when it comes to dealing with Sean Porter. He had to make adjustments, more so than any fight that Terence Crawford has been in. Terence Crawford had to make adjustments against Yuriorkis Gamboa, but Gamboa was a smaller guy. He had to make adjustments against Victor Postol. He had to make adjustments against Jose Benavidez. But more so, those guys are not on the level of a Mikey Garcia. They're not on the level of a Kell Brook in hostile environment in the UK. They're not on the level of, Sean Porter and upcoming Danny Garcia for Errol Spence. So I just think that the experience edge is going to go to Errol Spence. But like I said, Terence Crawford experience is higher than Jaron Boots Ennis. So I just think that right now might be just too early for Jaron Boots Ennis. I just think that Terence Crawford ability to make adjustments with the ability, with the edge, should I say, in experience, and he's a vet in the game. I think that would be too much for Ennis. But he's coming. He's coming. 1 or 2 fights, and he'll be ready for both guys. And I can't wait. The ceiling is high, right? I can't wait to see how his career unfolds. As a fan of the sport of boxing, it's massive. Can't wait to see how this all plays out. But drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hey, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Hey, this is Jasmine. Thank you for watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Hola, soy Jasmine. Gracias por ver Sangre Azul Deportes TV. Gracias.